Heath is down for a few hours today. He had to have surgery on his knee, and he's usually Superman, but this kind of slowed him down for a minute. So
it's a good time to do the question and answer.
yeah, there we go. We had a lot of people private message us on Instagram and Facebook about questions that they wanted us to answer. And so today was a good day to do it because I really don't want Heath up there climbing on the roof with a hurt knee. So
And we're willing to talk about just about anything, except
two things that shouldn't be ever talked about.
same two things we wouldn't talk about at Thanksgiving dinner: religion and politics.
That's right.
I would rather hit my hand with a hammer than talk about politics. But we're sitting on the safe space, which is the old bench seat that I made a couple years ago. This seems to be the place we always go to answer questions. So we got a ton of questions. Cedar wrote down the ones that came up more often than not. And we're going to try and hit them and talk about them and give it to you straight. And hopefully you guys enjoy this. But
You want to say names or just?
it's up to you. I don't care.
Or should I say first?
Yeah. No, maybe not names because
Okay.
we got a bunch of the same questions. But
Okay, we won't say your name, but thank you for whoever asked these questions. And we appreciate you, and we always appreciate your support. And we especially appreciate positive, uplifting things.
yeah.
It really helps.
Yeah, there was a couple of things that I wasn't crazy about talking about, mainly because
Of the two things you mentioned a minute ago.
yeah, I can't remember. Maybe there was one other thing. We get asked about our income, what I do besides YouTube all the time, and
Before YouTube too.
and it's not that I don't want to talk about it, but I've talked about it a number of times. And but when the point I'm making is when people message us on Instagram, especially, I always respond. I'm always willing to respond. But part of the reason I'm not crazy about talking about religion or politics is because, in my opinion, those are two conversations that should be had face to face. Because you and I will say things to each other face to face in a way that is respectful and cordial and the way it should be talked about versus the keyboard warrior with an opinion. And that's part of the reason we didn't start this YouTube channel to talk about a religion. And people have opinions about religion. And for that reason, I'm not horribly interested in everybody else's opinion, I guess, about what I believe, but we appreciate the questions. We appreciate people taking time to message us. So.
Okay, so water tanks. Several people asked about what our next step with the second water tank is. What are you going to put around it? Are you going to get it done before winter? Sorry, because I didn't mean to interrupt you. Big question was, with the price of lumber so high, how are we going to do the water tank?
Yeah, so I don't want to build another shed like I did the first water tank, although that shed kept the original water tank from freezing. But again, to me, it's a waste of money, partly because I hate seeing it. I can see the water tank shed from the front gate, and I use that old corrugated tin like I use everywhere, and I can see it, and it sticks out like a sore thumb. But the difference between those tanks lasting 5 to 10 years versus lasting a lifetime comes down to being covered from the sun. And so that one tank is covered, the other tank is not covered. I'm thinking really, really seriously about putting a piece of pipe to access the shutoff valves. And I'm thinking real seriously about burying about 2/3 of those tanks by putting dirt around both of those tanks 2/3 high and leaving the top exposed for winter. It won't freeze enough to be an issue. The dirt will do its job. It will keep the pipes from freezing. But the vulnerable places on those water tanks is the shutoff valves and the water lines where those brass fittings are. And if they're buried, again, it'll be fine. I haven't decided, but we literally have like 10 to 15 days to figure it out. The leaves are turning. We're probably within the 2-week window of all of the leaves falling. Our favorite tree here in the front yard is starting to turn red and yellow. So we know it's not quite getting below freezing at night, but we're getting close. So.
Okay. All right. So if you could change one thing from the whole adventure, what would it be?
What would that answer be for you?
Well, what I would change is different than what you would change.
I'm sure.
So of course, the location of the house would be my number one thing.
Okay. Meaning
that my house would be bigger than the shop.
So you're just threatened. You're threatened by the shop now, is what it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, where the shop is where our original house was supposed to be.
Which is dead center of the property.
And so the view and everything. That's one thing I would change. The other thing I would change is the circle drive. We talked about doing a circle drive years ago, and I really wish we would have had that because I like that. But as far as anything else, I mean, that's the only thing that really bothers me. But
does it really even bother you that much?
No, yes and no.
Well,
of course, it bothers me that the shop is bigger, but
the location of the house. Problem will be solved one of these days, and so the way I plan on solving that, I think we'll make up for. But this is not the original, just like you said, it's not the original position of the house. But I don't know. Hindsight is always 20/20. There's part of me that wonders what would have happened if we had just stayed focused on the shop and built that, instead of turning that into a shop, built that house. But you know what?
But main thing was cost, because it was going to cost more to build a bigger house too than this house.
Yeah, I don't think I'd change anything, because along the way, part of the process of what we did required the ability to just kind of make it work under the circumstances. We wanted to live up here so bad that how we lived, we knew with time we could make beautiful and nice in the way we wanted it. But I've always had this theory: I would rather be land rich and house poor than just the opposite. I can always make the house what we want it to be with time, but whatever piece of ground you end up with, you're stuck with. And so there's nothing about the property that we don't love. We love the land, we love the location. Our friend,
the neighbors,
awesome
neighbors.
Our friend came up the other day and got out of his truck, and he took a deep breath and he said, "This is mountain air."
He said, "Can you smell that?" And we were like, "No, what?" And he was like, "It smells like mountain air. It reminds me of when I was a kid."
Yeah, and so all of these things that we wanted so bad now we almost take for granted. But let's keep moving. We're gonna get to like 4 questions.
What advice would you give to somebody who wants to go on this adventure? Who wants to go? That's not an adventure. Who wants to go off grid?
Yeah, sure, it's an adventure. This is the most insane adventure of our life. What are you talking about?
Advice would be, don't go into a lot of debt.
Yeah, don't. The second that you're saddled with a giant mortgage or debt and all of these things that are expensive, in my opinion, it takes away from the overall experience. I still have a lingering fear that somebody could take this from me. I don't know, because we've worked so hard to get what we have. I still have this fear, and these are all crazy ideas in my head that will never come to pass. But if I had a giant mortgage and all of a sudden I get hurt and we can't pay the bills, then you better believe we're going to lose the place. And so I would just say, be willing to put time into it. This is not a 12-month program. But at the same time, do what you have to do to get it done. Don't turn it into a 20-year program either. You know, we're 4.5 years into this. It took us about 18 months, 20 months to build the house. It took us probably another 2 years to do all the other stuff around the place. But we definitely could have done it faster, I suppose, if we wanted to.
But that's how we learned. I mean, hindsight's 20/20, like you said, but we've learned what we need to do. Okay. So somebody wants to know how we handle the laundry, but I handle the laundry, so should I speak for you? How we handle the laundry. So in the very beginning, when we lived out here, we had some water issues. We had like a couple weeks where I had to go to the laundromat, and until we got the water situation, the pump, and stuff. But as far as now, for the last 9 months or so, we've never had any issues whatsoever. So,
except for yesterday when you left the sprinklers on a little bit too long and ran the water tank down to nothing.
So clean clothes or green grass, which one did I want?
and we can have both, but we weren't paying attention to the water tank level.
And we're a family of 6. Sage doesn't live here with us. She lives
in town.
Yeah, I didn't know if I should say it. So Sage doesn't live here with us, but there's 6 of us, and I only do laundry when the sun's up, usually between like 11 and 4. I usually stop around 4. I hang dry as much as I can, and I hang dry a lot inside, so our bedroom kind of gets taken over by wet jeans and wet clothes, and the laundry room, Heath put a pole up in the laundry room so I can hang some clothes up in there. And I would hang them up outside, but it's super dusty around here, and it's really hard for me to put my clean clothes outside with the dirt.
Once we get some grass planted on the back of the house, the plan is to put a clothesline back there.
And honestly, I opened the window in the laundry room, and the clothes dry super fast.
Yeah.
In the winter, they took a little bit longer to dry.
But you used to do the same thing in town. You used to hang dry my jeans and different things. So it's not like I think the point is that our laundry situation isn't a whole lot different than it would be in town, other than she tries to do it when we know it's peak time, when the sun's overhead on the solar panels.
And I literally do laundry 6 days a week, like from 11 to 4, 6 days a week. I do laundry.
Yeah. Next question.
Okay.
YouTube is not our main source of income. It never has been. That's all that I'll say about that. That question came up a whole bunch of times.
What are your plans for the interior of the shop? We have some cool ideas. You want maybe some tin?
I want it to be, I don't even know. I want it to be a collection of antiques combined with the pool table, the dartboard, the place where my fear is that it's going to be in between having this awesome shop, there's going to be a corner of it where I'm working on a truck, and it's going to be crap scattered everywhere, because that's just what I do when I get into these things.
If I let you.
So hopefully for the first time in our married life, I'll get a nice couple of toolboxes and keep my tools organized, get the stuff off the front porch for the final time. But I want it, like, I don't know how to, I almost bought an old, I shouldn't even say this on video, I keep thinking about doing it. There's a really, really old motorcycle for sale that's almost too old and too far gone to restore, and it's not really worth restoring, but it's an old, super old, post-World War II American-made motorcycle that I want to hang from the rafters over the pool table. And so
that's a perfect place to do it.
Yeah,
in the shop.
Cedar's finally just have a heyday with all the antiques that I've been packing around forever. But I'm sure she'll come out there and she'll say, "No, you're not." I don't know what to say.
No, are you gonna let me put some of my holiday decorations in there? You're gonna let me decorate
on top? No.
You just said yes.
No, I'll let you put your decorations in your boxes on top of the bathroom where it's going to be
decorated.
Yeah, we'll have to figure that out. I feel like it'll be a great place to entertain and have friends come hang out. I have a idea about a big old wood burning stove I want to put in there.
You want to do a license plate wall?
We've talked about doing that. Yeah, inviting some of you subscribers to send us a license plate from where you're from, with your birth date or the year of your birth date on, and writing us a note on the back of it. And we thought about taking the whole wall in that shop and putting license plates from all over the world, from wherever you happen to be from. But we haven't got there yet. I have an obsession with hammers, especially old antique hammers. I would love to take a whole wall and turn it into a collection of different hammers. I don't know. Anyway, plumbing, old antique plumbing tools, old monkey wrenches, things like that. That's.
So it's going to be full.
Yeah, but I don't want it to be a clutter either. So anyway, it'll be cool.
Okay, so how long will you continue filming? Until it feels right, or until Heath runs out of projects?
Yeah, we'll film as long as you guys watch. The second that it's no longer entertaining for you guys to do it, and we can see that based on views, there's obviously no point in doing it. But we've got so many, just because the shop's done and the house is done, that is like 2 of the 300 projects that I have in mind around here. And so there'll be content. There'll be plenty of content. But and my hope is that I get better at filming and better at editing and all of that stuff, and it becomes more entertaining for you guys. So there was one question here, that top question. Somebody asked, how did he say it? Did you get all of your skills you need to build the shop and the house from past experience? No, absolutely not. I have common sense, I suppose, and maybe that's it. I can barely tie my own shoes
and drive,
and I have ambition and persistence, and that's about it. And I'm relentless, I guess, if nothing else, and I'm willing to learn. There has never been a time in history where you can learn so easy. And so as long as you can hammer a nail, I suppose, and you have stick-to-itiveness and you're willing to put the time in, what does that mean, skills? I didn't have the knowledge, I suppose, 5 years ago that I do now. And truthfully, the shop is framed better, in my opinion, than the house is. But it's not that big of a difference. But I've gotten better. I've learned more. And so most of this just comes down to desire.
But you also love it. I mean, when you're in your groove, you put your earbuds in, you just go to town. You just figure it out.
I have to have projects. But I also look forward to not having these gigantic projects. I look forward to having a little bit smaller, bite-sized. I don't like being under pressure because of the weather changes. And we know the weather's going to change. So, all right, let's keep going.
You should have read these.
Yes, we're going to have a hydraulic lift in the shop. There's one for sale right now on Facebook that I keep thinking about going and buying.
What about solar panels on top of the shop?
The shop?
We talked about it, but
it doesn't quite face true south the way that it should. And I can offset that by putting more solar panels in. And for the moment, we're not going to put solar panels on the roof, but I am going to relocate the solar panels to a different spot, even closer to the shop. It's a place on our property that gets more sunlight than anywhere else. We're about to make some...
And it'll be hidden by the shop, too.
Yeah, it should be hidden.
So much from the road.
And we're about to make some major changes to our solar system. And hopefully by the end of the month, we can talk about that. But
somebody asked how we liked our batteries.
We love the technology behind the lithium iron phosphate batteries. Lithium phosphate iron. I forget how to say it. Anyway, we love those batteries. We love Lion Energy.
Okay, so besides working, what's your favorite thing to do on the ranch? Come sit out here and play your guitar?
Yeah. Yeah, or play my pool game.
Yeah, play your pool game.
Yeah,
just being outside. I think just enjoying
there's
the
no
weather.
question. I have a if there's one thing I could change about myself, it would be the ability to turn my brain off when my body can't do anymore, when I'm physically worn out at the end of the day. My brain doesn't stop. And I think that's hard for Cedar. It's hard for her to have conversations with me at times when she can see I'm thinking about how I'm going to do something the next day or whatever. But I don't know. I don't know why I enjoy challenges. I enjoy doing things out of my comfort zone that requires that I grow and figure these things out. And more than anything else, I enjoy proving people wrong. And so those two things kind of go hand in hand, I guess. It's probably not the healthiest way to live my life, but I've gotten a lot. We have not lived a traditional life. We have not. I have not worked a 40-hour work week for somebody else since I was 28 years old.
Yeah.
But I guarantee you, I put more hours in a week than most people do, and so
that's the bummer part about working at home, is because your work never leaves, never stops.
Yeah, but to me it's not work. To me it's just creating. I don't know. I guess it's just hard to turn my brain off. It's hard to fall asleep at times, and anyway.
Yeah. So do you edit your own videos?
Yes.
Yes.
And we will never not. I'll never not. I get that email constantly of companies that want to do that for us, and I know other people hire that out, both filming and editing, And I'll quit doing it before I do that, because that's the part of this that, again, the artistic expression comes through a little bit. And,
which is why you do it and not me, because it's more
but you're the first one that watches it, and you're the first one that critiques and gives me advice
but you put it
when I ask for it.
more eloquently than I could.
It's very personal for me.
Yeah.
The whole thing is very personal. And the second that I let somebody else do that is the second that the personal stuff goes away.
Mm-hmm.
So.
How's the garden going? It's going good. I've learned a lot. I learned what I will do next year and what I won't do next year. We have tons of tomato plants. A lot of them are green. So we're waiting for those to turn. And I just learned that the less you water them, the faster they turn red, which I don't know. So I'm experimenting with that. Make sure that happens. But we got a lot of zucchini. We got like
tons of zucchini. You bottled
5 cucumbers.
You bottled how many quarts of relish have you made so far?
Oh yeah, like 23. Is that what? No, more than that. A lot.
Tons.
We got a ton of relish out of the zucchini and bell peppers. We got a few bell peppers, but
we both know how to garden. I was raised in a garden, literally. But gardening at 5,500 feet in elevation, when you have a short window, a short season, is a whole new experience. And we're learning that, and we'll continue to pursue that. The location of where the garden is right now, it needs to be, that greenhouse did its job. It most definitely did its job. But it needs to be up on the hill where it can get a little bit more sunlight. But we'll still end up with a ton of tomatoes, and
we got tons of cherry tomatoes.
There's
a few things I planted that I wouldn't like. We did okra, and I got like 3 pieces of okra. So I don't think I'd do that next year, because I feel like it kind of took up a space that I would have. We got a lot of beets.
A lot of beets, yeah. Which you bottled again, and made my favorite bottled beets.
But still not enough. Next year I won't do okra, and I'll do more beets. And we got carrots, but not enough carrots. I should have done that. I should have done more carrots. We got cabbage.
Yeah,
it
worked. We had a successful year gardening, but we want to have a garden big enough that we can literally eat out of and bottle for the entire winter time, and this year was more of an experiment than probably anything. But
I planted peas by some tomatoes, and I shouldn't have, because it got a little intertwined. So I had learned on that, but it was fun. It's been fun.
Yeah.
So we'll see how many quarts of tomatoes we get bottled.
I love watching when I'm working on the shop or working somewhere else. To me, I love seeing my wife outside and not being afraid to get her hands dirty and not being afraid to pitch in.
To clean up after you.
Yeah.
When you throw wood off the thing, I'm like, I'll get that for you.
I
won't go on the roof with you, but I'll clean up that.
And add it on the firewood pile. And Cedar's fearless. She's always been that way, and that's one of the things I love most about her. But anyway.
That's nice.
High five.
Thank you. After all this, I get a high five.
High five.
Oh, that's so sweet of you.
All right, let's move on before this gets any more sappy.
How's your health? You want to talk about your health?
Yeah, I'm good. As far as my issues that I had a couple of years ago, I quit taking all the medications that I had to take for ulcerative colitis probably a year and a half ago. I make some strong kombucha, and I drink it almost like it's medicine, because it doesn't taste. In the beginning, it was all about taste and flavor and all of those things, but the probiotics and the things that are so healthy about kombucha, I'll literally make myself drink it, and the truth is I can feel it. I can feel how good that stuff is for me. And it was a recipe that I got off of, I don't even remember the name of the channel, but it was some girl had basically made a YouTube channel about kombucha. And I hope and I pray that I never have to go back to that. But I'll tell you, I firmly believe that autoimmune disorder was a direct result of stress. And removing and eliminating that stress in my life, miraculously the body healed. So anyway, we've gone long, but we'll do one, maybe 2 more and shut it down.
Let's see.
Are we good?
I think so. I'd have to go back through.
We want to thank you guys again for all that you do, for watching, for tolerating us, for your advice, for as many of you as there are, overwhelmingly, even when you may not agree with the way I do something, you've recognized that by offering your perspective in a polite, nice way, that you can still say that without hurting feelings, I suppose. And we love that most of our comments, I would venture to say 99.9% of the comments on the YouTube videos, which I don't look at, by the way, Cedar looks at, are positive. They're uplifting in a world where things are so chaotic right now and so divisive and all of these things that I hate. You don't have to agree with me in my politics, in my religious perspective, and I don't have to agree with your politics and your religious perspective with so much anger. We can still have tolerance and love and consideration. And the problem with social media is a lot of that goes away. So I apologize for doing that, but we can make the world that we live in a better place by simply just being kind. I think that's it, unless you have anything else.
No, said it good.
I apologize, but thank you guys.